so many other members of our community. So if you were someone who was born in or grew up in or has lived in our community, please stand. If you are someone who's been part of our journey since we first opened our doors, please stand. And stay standing if you'd like. Yeah, let's just keep it going. All right. People who've been part of this journey for over a decade, please stand. Thanks to my parents, my fiance, for their patience. Please stand if you are an elected official, and stay standing if you're a representative from U.S. Congressman Garcia's office, the United States Department of Agriculture, the governor's office and state departments, state representatives Ortiz, Gonzalez, the mayor's office, City of Chicago, Commissioner Anaya, our alderperson, Michael Rodriguez and his exceptional team, Alderwoman Gutierrez, and our former Alderman Zaleski. Please stand if you represent the Chicago Housing Authority, and thank you for entrusting us with this land. Stand up if you are an AGC or a Cultivate board member or Strategic Advisory Council member. All AGC and Cultivate colleagues, our principals, our students and parents, please stand. Visionary funders, pro bono partners and contributors, volunteers, neighborhood leaders, partners, district officials, advocates, everyone who's a believer in a better future. Thank you for being here. But we're not quite done, because there are some additional very special people who've helped make this vision a practical reality. And I just want to take a moment to thank our very bold design team, led by Doug Farr at SMNGA Architects, DBHMS, and Aaron Lavin Cabanargi, our fearless development advisor. And finally, our intrepid construction team, because without them, this would never have become a reality. And so that team is co-led by Power and Sargent Construction and all of their subcontractors. So again, thanks to all of you. This moment truly, truly would never have been made possible without every single one of you who's been part of making this dream a reality. So before I introduce some special guests that are here with us today, I just want to take a moment to think back to 2005 for those of you who were there in the former dental tool factory and then the repurposed barrel factory just a matter of blocks from here. A little blast from the past moment for those of you who've been part of the journey. It's just incredible to think about how far we've been able to come together. And nearly 20 years after opening our doors at the Academy for Global Citizenship, we've grown to believe that schools can be more as cornerstones and an opportunity to really think about reimagining the role that schools can play in communities. Places where every member of our community can come and gather. Places that can catalyze neighborhood investment, that can create jobs, that can cultivate well-being for multi-generational members of our community. In 2022, Cultivate Collective was born as a community-based and community-led nonprofit organization that is serving as an umbrella that incorporates these evidence-based pillars of cradle-to-career learning pathways, sustainability, economic vitality, and health and wellness to drive generational impact. With leadership from our incredible board and President Nikenya Collins, who you're going to hear from this morning, the Cultivate Hub is now the new home to the Academy for Global Citizenship, our dual language and international baccalaureate public school, a brand new early childhood Head Start program that just opened, and so much more. Next week, Esperanza Health Centers is opening its doors to a community healthcare center just over here on the corner. Our neighborhood fresh food marketplace is soon going to be launching, and what is very exciting, behind this building, 3.5 acres of urban agriculture is soon going to be under development and led by our friends at Urban Growers Collective. So next time you visit, you might be able to join us on the neighborhood walking trails, checking out some of the apiaries, the orchards, the nature-centric learning spaces that are going to be kind of rolling out throughout the course of the year ahead. You might even also be able to say hello to our goats and chickens that are soon going to be joining us. But one thing I do want to share with you is that this campus is special for a number of reasons, but one of which is that it is the first facility in the entire Midwest that is on track to achieve something called the Living Building Challenge. This is the world's most audacious sustainable certification standards that exist globally. And once our 550 kilowatts of solar panels are installed in the months ahead that have been generously donated by Hecate Energy, this building is actually going to be net positive energy producing. It's going to produce more energy through clean renewable sources than it uses. The building is entirely fossil fuel free, and it's going to feature a whole array of sustainability strategies, including our on-site battery storage that is going to enable climate resiliency. But this is just the beginning, because those of you who know us at Cultivate Collective and the Academy for Global Citizenship, that we like to think big. And we're currently planning, if you can believe it, and actively fundraising for our second phase. We've got $1.4 million in time-bound matching grant sources that will help build a Green Business Institute and an environmental education learning lab and a barn for those animals. And so for those of you who are looking to learn more, you know where to find us. You're going to learn more about this as well on the tours and see some renderings of our second phase. Inside the facility, you're also going to see a donor wall, and just want to, again, give a special shout out and thanks to all of you who have generously contributed to making this moment possible, and to all of you who flew in to celebrate with us today. Our 20-year journey has been one that has been filled with hope, with audacity, and with determination. It's our hope that this Cultivate Hub, this place for sustainability, for learning, for wellness, can serve as a model, not only for Chicago, but for our country and for our world. So with that, I'm excited to introduce our first speaker who's here with us today, Alderperson Michael Rodriguez.
Something else, huh? Kenya, I know, I know that smile. Before I begin, I don't normally do this, but given that yesterday was Indigenous Peoples Day, I wanted to start off with a brief land acknowledgement, remembering those who occupied these lands in prehistoric to historic times. But then also, remember the people who used to live on these very lands not 2 decades ago. People who are brothers and sisters, who continue to live in this neighborhood, who are a bit of a diaspora. We're bringing you back. This is the first step in that journey. The fact is, for decades and decades, our federal administration, our local administration, bled public housing to death with the lack of resources, with the lack of investments, a lack of equity. Over the last several years, with my colleagues on various levels of government, Congressman Garcia, Representatives Gonzalez and Ortiz, Commissioner Anaya, and with many others, we came together with community-based organizations like the Hearst Community Organization, like Vidham Park and Archer Heights, and like Cultivate Collective, to come together to demand what is deserved on these lands, and that is investments. Investments in communities that have historically been underinvested in. This great facility is phase 1 in that reinvestment. Do you feel me? Sarah Elizabeth, you are a dreamer. You are a dreamer and you are a doer. And you've done it. We've done it together. I'm very proud that on the first day of this great school's 500 kids coming to school here, Sarah Elizabeth and I stood right here. We saw a bunch of kids trip over the grass there because you got to be careful. Be careful, everybody. But they were so excited. They were so enthused about coming to this great school, about coming to this center of community learning, because they felt invested in. They felt like they mattered. They felt like their future was one of achievements and one of dreaming. They now know that they have that investment. And again, this is phase one in that investment. But I want to say, Sarah Elizabeth, she talked about part of that investment. But on these lands that are prehistorically inhabited by our neighbors most recently, we're bringing them back. Not down the street here, we're going to have a grocery store, a federally qualified health center. We're going to have 200 units of affordable and multi-use housing right here in the neighborhood within the next couple of years. How do you feel about that? I'm excited to be the alderperson of this ward during this great time in investing in this community in the way it should have been invested in over the last decades. And let us not forget that with investments comes potential harm as well. And we collectively will struggle through that harm. We will struggle together to make sure that we are as inclusive as possible, that not one community is left behind, and we will all move forward together. And that is the commitment of the Academy for Global Citizenship. I know it is, because this building is reflective of that dream. And I, as your alderperson, am committed to making sure that every step of the way that we walk this journey together. I want to end this by saying there are some amazing people out there. Sarah Elizabeth amongst them are great principals. You are amazing. Raise your hand. Give them a round of applause. I got to give a shout out to my friend Aaron Cavanargi. Oh my God. We worked together from, listen, when you're trying to bring hundreds of chickens to a space and the city of Chicago is trying to stop you from doing that because of zoning code violations, we got to work through that, to making sure that streets are paved, that grass gets down. You know, the journey is not ended. I want to underscore that, but we are just beginning, and I'm so proud to have just a small part of this. Thank you so much for all of your efforts. None of this happens without a collective effort. And listen, it's not a perfect effort. We continue to struggle together, but because of that struggle, the end result is what we deserve. That's equity, that's investments, and that's our young people coming to a place where they know they're invested in and valued. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alderperson. As you can see, we are very fortunate to be surrounded by people with resolute determination and passion. And so with that, I'm now honored to introduce you to our Congressman, Chuy Garcia.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be seeing green on a Tuesday morning at the great LeClaire Hearst community. See the green, feel the green, be green. I'm delighted to be here saying muy buenos dias to each and every one of you. Good morning. Sarah Elizabeth, Nikenya Collins, and the collective, thank you so much for the invitation, but most importantly, for your hard work for making this community project happen. I'm the proud congressman of Illinois' 4th District, where Latino, Black, and working class families of all backgrounds are the reason that I go to Congress, and I'm about to take off there in a few minutes. That's why I will keep it short, because I want to get inside the building. I want to see, I want to feel, I want to smell, I want to touch this new investment in people and the future of our children. The Southwest Side has been my home for over 50 years. And every time that I'm heading down to Fort City, to Archer Avenue or Midway Airport, I always have to turn right to catch at least a glimpse of what's going on here. It's great to be standing and sitting with all of you this morning in this great celebration to see what I've been yearning to see, the community-driven development that we are unveiling today. And now, after many years of disinvestment, thanks to the private, public, and community collaboration, we can finally celebrate this occasion. It's a space that will impact multiple generations for years to come. This is a special project as it takes on an innovative approach by addressing multiple community needs under one roof. For community planners and developers out there, this is how you do redevelopment and development in Chicago, by involving people, ensuring equity, and yes, by being guided and insured with a community benefits agreement. It also demonstrates what's possible when communities have input into the projects that are meant to serve them. That's what makes cutting the ribbon here today so important, because this hub will expand healthcare services, education, sustainability, and the food, the access that everyone needs to have. It has the potential to serve as a blueprint to other communities as they look to respond to identified needs. I know that you've got an ally in Congress to continue fighting for the spaces and resources that all of our communities need and deserve. Congratulations once again. This is a wonderful day on Chicago's Southwest Side.
Thank you, Congressman. Your advocacy has been so critical to this process. And with that, I'm just so excited to introduce you to the City of Chicago's Chief Sustainability Officer, Angela Tovar.
I'm so glad that I made it up the curb successfully. That would have been a nightmare if I didn't. Good morning, everyone. You know, I often go to sustainability events, and I will say that a sign of a good one is when you see so many dedicated sustainability leaders in the crowd. Just looking across the crowd and seeing so many familiar faces, so many dedicated people who really embody the mission of sustainability for the city. It's just a testament of the network that we have in the city of Chicago, all of the community leaders who just dedicate their time to this initiative and to this mission. So thank you all for being here. It's an honor to be here in this wonderful community with our wonderful community leaders, our distinguished guests, and the cherished community members. I stand here brimming with excitement as we gather to celebrate what already serves as a global model for climate justice and community revitalization. On behalf of Mayor Johnson and the rest of the city of Chicago, I extend our deepest gratitude to the leaders of the hub, including Nikinya, including Sarah, and all of the guiding lights, right? The youth leaders who have been involved, the people who have been involved in the community visioning process for this project, and all of your incredible partners that are here today. Your unwavering commitment to this vision, your dedication to so many things, education, youth development, wellness, circular systems, sustainability, and economic vitality have paved the way for a brighter, more equitable future for every student, every green worker, every business owner, and local resident who will walk through these doors. The hub contains a few notable features that I think are worth shouting out, so join me in celebrating all of the incredible thoughtfulness that has been poured into this project. The hub has 550 kilowatts of solar power. It has 50 geothermal wells, on-site battery storage to enable full climate resiliency, as Sarah already mentioned, and is an entirely fossil fuel-free facility. I'm going to say that one more time because that's so exciting for us, right? It's an entirely fossil fuel-free facility. And as Sarah already mentioned, net positive energy and water, EV charging stations, and an array of the most innovative building materials and strategy. And one more notable thing, it fulfills the rigorous standards of the Living Building Challenge, the only building in the Midwest to do that. It is a leader in sustainable architecture. The hub doesn't just meet the world's most ambitious sustainability standards, it exceeds them, heralding a new era of sustainable community development for our city. As we celebrate this achievement, let us not forget the bigger picture here. Our Chicago, our beloved city, has its sights set on a carbon-free future as well. A future in which sustainability and harmony with nature are not just ideals, but living, breathing realities for our communities, particularly communities that are most historically underserved. Cultivate Collective, with its steadfast dedication to the City of Chicago's Climate Action Plan, propels us forward to this future. In taking this monumental step, this hub aligns itself with Chicago and the International Panel on Climate Change's goal of achieving net zero by 2050. I will end by saying let's do everything we can to ensure that this project serves as a model for our collective future. This is a rallying cry to every architect, every community developer, every advocate, every organizer, and every visionary everywhere. Let's hope this model echoes across our neighborhoods and inspires us to follow in the footsteps of the leaders of the Cultivate Collective Community Hub. Thank you to each and every one of you for being part of this transformative vision, and thank you for your unwavering commitment to our youth, to our future generations, to our great city, and most importantly, to the former residents of LeClaire Courts and the surrounding community, all of whom are so deserving of this wonderful investment in our future. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Angela, and thanks to our leadership at the City of Chicago. Lastly, I'm so excited to introduce you to President Nekenya Collins of Cultivate Collective, whose family has been living in LeClaire Courts for 5 generations, and Nekenya and her mom, Ms. Val, who's also here, have just been wonderful guiding lights throughout this journey. So Nekenya, welcome.
Thank you, Sarah Elizabeth. Welcome, everyone. Bienvenido. I'm so excited to see all of these lovely faces here to support us, and I can't help but to be a little bit emotional because, as Sarah Elizabeth just said, my family, we moved into our little bungalow just a little bit south of here on Lawler 5 generations ago, almost 50 years. So I've seen my grandparents, my mom and her siblings, me and my siblings and first cousins, my children, and now my grandchildren have gone through that home. And so I'm just super excited to see what we've been envisioning for years, for decades, come into fruition on this spot, the former home of LeClaire Courts, where I used to play just a little bit west of here in the playgrounds, in the field house. And so to see now this building finally erected after all of this time, I'm just so excited. I know every community member here is happy to see this finally go up. I know what it's like to have to drive over 15 minutes just to go and access critical medical care. I know what it's like to be an eager child, thirsty for knowledge, and in order to get gifted services to feed my brain and everything that I wanted to do in life, I had to take 2 buses and 2 trains to go on the north side so I can attend Alexander Graham Bell School on Addison. And I also know what it's like to not be able to access things like workforce development programs and entrepreneurship classes, because as a business owner, it took me a very long time to learn the things that I needed to know in order to sustain myself, to know what it's like to access city services. None of that was here when I was younger. So I'm so excited to now see this building erected and be more than a school, more than just education. We also have programs coming that Essie just mentioned, workforce development, the AGC is now moved in here. We now have Esperanza coming in to open its doors for medical services. Wellness programs and other community programming that should have been here years ago. This area has been disinvested for years. We've been promised so many things. And to know that this southwest side that used to be all but forgotten now has some of the services that we've been longing for forever, now here. I'm just can't contain my excitement. And I'm sure that's probably showing that I'm kind of bubbling over with emotion right now. Because to see on this spot that has been vacant, forgotten for almost 2 decades, finally have the things that I longed for as a child that my grandkids can now have access to, is, words cannot even describe how emotional I am. And as president of Cultivate Collective, I'm happy to have listened to all of my fellow community members, hear your voices, know what needs to happen, and be able to implement this here on this spot, along with all of the talented board members that I have the pleasure of working with, all of the talented community members who have lent their voices, all of the amazing politicians, all of the amazing people that have contributed to see this vision come to fruition, to know that this is not only keeping us in mind, that this is for us, that it's been cultivated with us, and now we can all know that this has been by us and these doors are open. So I'm happy to invite you all to our open house next week to make sure that you know that this building is here for you, and Cultivate Collective is here for you because it's been cultivated collectively for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikenya. Well, before we cut the ribbon, there is one more very, very important moment, and I'd like to introduce you to Henry Cervantes, who's here to lead us in a land acknowledgement.
Thanks, Sarah. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Good. I want to try this chant, see if you can follow my lead here. When I say, who are we? I want you to say AGC. Who are we? AGC. Who are we? AGC. Who are we? AGC. Right on. Thank you. My name is Henry Cervantes. I'm a proud community partner with AGC and Cultivate Collective. I run the Peace Exchange program in the city, and for the past couple of years, we have worked together to offer peace education classes not only to the students, but also to the parents and the teachers of this wonderful school. I've been invited today to read a land acknowledgement that's been prepared for us by our students. And so for this moment, I'm gonna invite the members of our community, everyone in our audience today, if you can please rise. And I invite you to listen to these words. Because a land acknowledgement is a reminder of all the people who have come before us in a particular place. To remind ourselves of the history here and who we are as the future caretakers of this land. So the following words have been written by students. Today and every day, we honor and appreciate the land, the water, the air that is home to Cultivate Collective and the Academy for Global Citizenship. We acknowledge all of the caretakers of this land, particularly the indigenous peoples, the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwa, the Ottaway, and the Potawatomi, and those who were forcibly removed from these traditional homelands. The Miami, the Ho-Chunk, the Menominee, the Sioux, the Fox, the Miskawi, and all other people who have once resided here. To our beloved LeClaire Courts community members who most recently called this place home, and the generations of Earth Guardians yet to come. You may be seated. In addition to these recognitions, the inhabitants of this facility share the following commitments, and we promise to use the resources that nature provides us, like the peoples who came before us. Make this land healthy and green in order to respect the land air, and water that nurtures us in this place. To use this land to relax, be calm, and take deep breaths. To enjoy the outdoors and be outside more. As current caretakers of this land, we will protect the animals and share this place and space, and we will observe insects and not kill them because they are important to this land as well. We will create relationships with this land and tell our stories and learn and play here. And by learning the names of the plants and trees, we will always be connected to this land and be thankful for it in order to honor this space and place. And with that, I want to see if you remember. Who are we? Who are we? Who are we? Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Henry. And now it's time. It's time to cut the ribbon. So I'd love to invite Tavares West. He's a member of our first graduating class, who's now a senior at Howard University. Pretty amazing, right? You're definitely not getting older, just our graduates are. Tavares serves as a Strategic Advisory Council member for Cultivate. And I also would love to ask all of our elected officials, including our speakers and others who have joined us today, members of our community, come on up. We've got a long ribbon. So if you have lived in LeClaire Courts, if you currently live or were born here, join us. We're gonna do this down on the sidewalk, I think, because we got a big group. So let's do it down here.